This is my Canon AE-1. This is the very first film camera that I ever owned. I got this camera my sophomore year of high school. My stepdad, Mark, purchased this for me. This camera was fundamental in me becoming a photographer, and I think that this is a fantastic camera for anybody getting into film photography for the first time, and I'm gonna tell you why. When I started going to my new high school in Hayward, I kind of came in late for the registration process, so I had to pick an elective course. I didn't want to do any of them, but the one that stood out to me the most was darkroom photography, mostly because I thought I could just dick around in that class and it would be kind of fun. When I joined the class, the first thing on the syllabus was that you needed to get a 35mm film camera. It didn't matter what brand or how much it cost, just that you had to have a camera that could shoot 35mm film. That first week, the professor, he gave us a roll of Kodak HP5 and told us to go out and shoot our first roll of film, just try out the camera, see how it works, try taking photos of friends, you know, nature, stuff at home, whatever you wanted, just to kind of like get a sense of like how shooting a film camera kind of feels. That next week on Monday, we brought our rolls of film in after we had shot them all. We were taught to put them in a changing bag and then really carefully take them out of the canister and spool them onto a spool. And then we were taught how to process the film with black and white chemicals, that whole process. And then we looked at our film and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. There are pictures on this plastic negative. That's amazing. I've never seen anything that cool. I mean, I had seen film negatives before, but I'd never seen pictures that I had taken represented on a piece of film. And that blew my mind. But what really was to blow my mind was yet to come, because the next couple days were dedicated to instruction on how to then print those images on photo paper to have a photograph print. And that's something I'd never seen done before. The day that my turn was up, I put my film in the enlarger. I chose a photo that I thought would be cool. I exposed my photo paper. I took a bunch of different tests to make sure I got the exposure right. And then when it came time to put it in the developer bath, I just slipped it in, went back and forth on the developer bath in the tray, and in front of my eyes, right in front of me, like magic, that image just slowly appeared. And that is the moment that I decided that photography was probably my favorite thing in the world. I had never in my life seen something be created from almost nothing right in front of my eyes. Like I was taking light, just light, and making like an artifact, an image, an actual photograph on paper that blew my mind. And to this day, it still blows my mind. Every time I pull a roll of film out of that developer tank in my bathroom when I process film, I look at the film with the images on it and I go, this is nuts that this is a thing that you can do. Science is crazy. Physics is crazy. Photography is crazy. I'm not going to go over all the technical specs of the AE-1. There are tons of videos and resources online that will let you basically take this camera apart virtually. There are a lot of really cool features of this camera that are a little more advanced, and some that are, you know, pretty easy to use for anybody. But I'm going to stick to the meat and potatoes of this camera, which is the ease of use, the build quality, and the availability. When I got this camera, I think my stepdad paid $125 for it. It came in like this leatherette case. It came with a couple of random rolls of film, and it came with a lens. Not the lens that's on it now, but I think it was a 50mm 1.8 or something, which is a very common lens. Canon made a bajillion, I think, roughly a bajillion. They're really inexpensive. They're fast at 1.8 aperture. They're really easy to use, and they last forever unless you like chuck them at a car going 80 miles an hour. Why would you do that? This camera is kind of chunky. It's not very big, but it does have a good weight to it. So it's not like a dainty little camera that you're gonna like, you know, throw in your purse and be like, oh, it's no big deal. I don't even know it's there. Like, it's got a good weight to it, but that's a good thing. When it comes to shooting in low light with longer shutter speeds, like lower than like an 80th of a second, if you have camera shake, just because your hands naturally will kind of shake when you're trying to hold them steady, you're gonna get motion blur and it's gonna ruin your shot. But if you have a camera that has a little bit of weight to it, that weight's gonna now allow you to kind of stabilize your shot a little bit easier, which is another reason this camera is really great for beginners. This camera has a built-in light meter, which I prefer to use a handheld incident meter or even a spot meter if you have access to one of those. But as a beginner, you can get really good shots using the internal light meter if you know what you're doing and you test things out. And yeah, that's really cool. There's a ring around the shutter speed dial that allows you to pull up and choose your ISO, which is pretty cool. The Fuji X-Pro 2 actually has the same sort of like lift and choose dial that a lot of people complained about when this camera came out, and I thought that was interesting because a lot of people that I know that started doing film photography, most film cameras, 35mm film cameras, that's the kind of the mechanism that was used to choose ISO. So I don't know people complained about that, but I love this on this camera because it was just, I was right at home. There's a really cool little locking lever on the shutter button. So if you don't want to accidentally take a picture with the camera in your bag or around your neck or whatever, you just push that in and then you can't activate the shutter. The other cool thing is if you push it out the opposite direction, there's a timer. You press the shutter button, up, a little red light starts blinking, and I think you have 10 seconds until the shutter is released. We're gonna find out. Yeah, just about 10 seconds, which is neat. That's really cool. You can take self-portraits. The lens that I have on this camera right now is a 50mm f1.8. It's an FD lens. These are kind of sought after nowadays for filmmakers and people who really value vintage lenses, because these lenses are really, really, really nice. It's super fast at a 1.4 aperture, so you get a lot of light and a lot of background blur. It's pretty hefty. It's got a nice bayonet mount up here for specific Canon like accessories if you want to use those, and it just takes really great pictures. I picked this lens up, I think 2 months ago. I saw one on Craigslist. Some guy had it, or actually it was a Facebook marketplace. Some guy was selling it for like less than $100 and I just jumped on it because it's a really great lens. I will be using this for filmmaking stuff probably in the near future, but for now it's on the AE-1. I bought this lens specifically because I had this camera just sitting under my bed, I think, for like the last 6 years, and I haven't touched it, and there's no lens on it. I think I sold all my FD lenses when I switched over to the Nikon F2, so I didn't have anything lying around, so this just kind of sat in a bag under my bed. Strangely enough, the battery still worked, so I pulled it out, put the lens on it, and I went out and did a test roll of film, which you guys can see. Obviously, there's a ton of light leaks in this camera because it's been sitting under my bed for 6 years. There's a lot of seals on the inside of the back door here that are probably deteriorated. Also some seals under here, underneath where the film lies. So I think all these light leaks are coming from probably the side where it opens, or maybe on this side, probably this side, you know. But that happens with a really old camera. I will never get rid of this camera. Not because I use it a lot, because I don't, but because this camera means a lot to me. It represents a change in my life. It represents a changing of priorities. It represents when I started to look at art more critically. It changes the way I kind of looked at science and looked at physics. And it really did open a lot of doors for me as far as creating things, becoming a creator, and kind of seeing the world a lot differently. I didn't even take it seriously when I got it. I just thought this is just a class I'm taking because it's probably easy and fun. It wasn't easy, it was fun, but it changed my life forever. And it all started with just this little Canon AE-1 that, by the way, Canon made a trillion of these. Probably not that many, but they made a lot. They made so many of these cameras that you can go on any marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, whatever, and you can find a used Canon AE-1 sitting around somewhere. They obviously don't make these anymore, but so many of these were made and so many people use these cameras, you can find them practically anywhere. And for a good price. I think the most expensive AE-1 I've ever seen was like an AE-1 program, which is another version of this one. And I think they wanted like $250, but it came with a couple lenses. So that was actually a pretty good deal anyways. A couple things to note about this camera. The battery that these cameras take are annoying. 4LR44, they're 6-volt batteries. They still make them, but it's kind of hard to find them. Best Buy said they had them at their stores based on their website. When I went to their store, it was actually like these little button batteries that you can like put 4 in and kind of make a 6-volt cell, but it didn't work with this camera. There are adapters you can buy online if you want to use other batteries in this camera, but I say just go on Amazon and try to find some that will work. The ones that I bought are by this company called Pet Standard. And basically, this company has adopted these very specific batteries to use in their like anti-bark collars or something. So they actually have branded 6-volt 4LR44s, and they're pretty cheap. They come in like a pack of 12, I think. And it's the exact same battery, but yeah, Pet Standard. If you want to look on Amazon, that's where you can find the battery for this camera. Another thing is that it does have a meter inside, which is really handy. Like I said, I don't use the internal meter. I use a handheld meter. But what this meter does is based on the shutter speed that you've chosen, you're gonna half press the button, and then it's gonna say, oh, for the shutter speed that you've chosen, this is the aperture you should choose. And it has a little matchstick that points to the aperture value. So it's basically a shutter priority meter, which is actually really easy to use because all you have to do is, if you know you can shoot at 60th of a second or 1/25th of a second or 2/50th or whatever you need to, you choose whatever shutter speed you're comfortable with, and then you look through the lens, half press, and then it says, oh, well, at this shutter speed, you're gonna use f1.2. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to say about this camera. It's pretty utilitarian. It has a lot of cool features, and it also has not enough features to be confusing. It's really, really, really a tank. Like I said, I've had this sophomore year of high school, and look, it's still in pretty decent condition. I've taken this on trips. I've taken this on tour with me and my band. I've taken this through, I don't know, 50 different moves all through the Bay Area, and you know, it's been there for me. It's worked every time. Obviously, this needs some cleaning up. I need to put new seals on the film door. Another thing to note about this camera, you want to look out for something called mirror squeak. And I fixed it on this one, but what happens is you basically release the shutter, and instead of just being a click like that, it will be a meow, 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 meow. It kind of sounds like a cat. It didn't really bother me so much, but it was really noticeable when you're out shooting and you take a picture and it's like meow, meow, and people were like, what the hell is that sound? Or it's just kind of like, is this broken? What's the deal? Basically what happens is that there is some lubricant in the mirror box that dries up on this specific like gear and like pinion rack system thing, whatever, and it causes that weird squeak to happen. Really easy fix. Basically, you take the lens mount off and there's a little screw right here that you take out, and you can squirt some WD-40 or gun oil in there, and it will lubricate that little gear section, and it will remove any squeak or weird noises. I did that with this camera and it's totally fine. I used white lithium grease, but you can use whatever mechanic grease or whatever, or oil that you have that is good for gears. Like, don't use like canola oil or olive oil. I would have been tempted to use EVOO, but if it goes rancid, then it's not going to be very good inside your camera. Only use that for cooking. Okay? So if you find a camera that has the squeak, don't worry, it doesn't mean the camera's broken, it just means that it needs to be lubricated properly, and you can do it, or you can have a camera repair shop do it, or you know what, just live with it. I had this camera squeaking for probably the entire time I was in high school, and it honestly didn't really bother me. It just was like a feature of the camera. So if you're just starting out, you're getting into film, and you're thinking about, oh, what is a good camera that's affordable, works really well, that can last a long time, that I can shoot 35mm film in, this is a camera I would highly recommend. There are so many of them. They're really affordable. They're rugged. They have great features. There's a million online, and look how cool it looks. I mean, that's a really nice, handsome looking 35mm camera. It looks like a really cool vintage camera, because it is. You'll get lots of cool points. Also, you can get one of these rope straps for some real street cred. I can't promise it'll give you street cred because I have one and I don't think I have any street cred. I don't think I have street cred, I don't. One time I was driving in San Francisco and I was at a stoplight. I was driving my old truck and I had my windows down and some guy on the sidewalk was like, "Hey, you're the guy from the YouTube." And I was like, oh shit, that is me. And he was very nice. So I have one street cred. I have a singular street cred. That's the Canon AE-1, my first camera and the camera that got me into photography and is the reason why I am here on YouTube in front of you today. And I wouldn't be the person that I am without this fantastic, incredibly great 35mm film camera that is amazing for beginners and for enthusiasts alike. So buy one. If you want to see more videos about cameras that are really good for beginners, please leave a comment and let me know what you think. I made this channel because I wanted to help people who were beginners, who had never touched a camera before, or people who had been into photography but never really gotten into the nitty-gritty of learning all the stuff about cameras. So I really want to help if I can teach people what the best course of action or best cameras or best things that they can do to get into photography. So if you have specific questions or if you really want to see something on this channel that will help you in your journey of starting out in film photography, please leave me a comment and I will do my best to get to all of you. I also dropped some information in my last video about how I'm shooting on a Blackmagic pocket cinema camera, which is this camera I'm shooting on right now. And then this B camera right here is my Fuji X-T3. Do you guys care about the video stuff I shoot with? Do you care about the cameras that I'm shooting video with at all? Because if you do, I will do a little mini review of these cameras. You guys know I loved the X-T2 and this replaced it and I love it. And then the Blackmagic pocket camera, I got that because I'm taking filmmaking more seriously and I'm doing some video work for professional clients and stuff. And I wanted to have a good cinema camera that gave me the flexibility to do stuff like that. Yeah, if you care about that crap, I will do reviews of these cameras. If you don't really care, then don't say anything. But if you do care, leave me a comment and let me know, and I will make those videos. If you like this video, please give it a like. I know everyone says that on their channel, but just like this. It makes it look really great for me, and it helps this channel grow. If this video helped you out and you think it'll help someone else, please share it. The more people that see these videos, the better. Then I can keep making videos and you can keep seeing them. What else is happening? I'm using Moment ND filters on both of these cameras right here to get the exact right proper exposure. So if you, oh, this was in the shot the whole time, no! So I am using ND filters on both my A cam and B cam, and they are made by Moment. They're fantastic. They have hard stops. They are affordable. They don't have that weird X pattern if you go beyond, because you can't go beyond, and they're really high quality glass. And Moment is not sponsoring this video, but they did send me some gear to check out and they have supported this channel in that way. So please check out my affiliate link in the description below. If you click on that link and buy something, this channel gets supported and this channel needs the support. So the more you go to the Moment website and buy stuff or, you know, share it, the more that my channel gets support. So please do that. That would be awesome. Yeah, if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments. I love talking to you guys. I love answering your questions. I have a Twitter. It's mostly just me yelling about stuff, so you can follow me there. Ah, frick, I didn't bring anything to drink. I'm not drinking anything today. I had coffee this morning. If you can guess what coffee I drank this morning, then I will buy you a coffee. So, make your guess in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for caring about this camera, because I care about it. Let me know what you think of the photos that I took. And I love you. See you later.